So we're going to work out our cutting list. Let's use a Year 11 project. You may be able to see that they have used laminated particle board. Don't worry about that. Let's imagine that this is pine. I just want to use pine as the example. So again, this is what we're working on. The base, the two sides, the back and the top. And we are organising a cutting list. We need to organise our cutting list in a few different set terms. The first thing we list is the width. It says it up here. The following order, we do the width first. Second is we do the thickness. This is the thickness, and third is the length. So it's pine material. We're going to be writing down what the width is, what the thickness is, and what the length is. So as with this piece of pine, I've discussed with my client and we've decided to use the material that is 68 millimeters wide, 12 millimeters thick, and they wanted 300 meters in length. So I'm going to write down for my cutting list, my pine is 68 mil by 12 mil by 300. Now, as it says here, it is assumed that all measurements are in millimeters, so we don't need to add the actual letters of mm on the drawing or the cutting list. So my client wants the base 476 millimeters. That's the measurement I'm working on. So it has to be 476 millimeters in width, and it's 300 long. And the initial video I showed you, that was for just one piece, was 68 millimeters by 12 in thickness and 300 long. This is just a combination of all those same pieces of pine to make 476. This is a further example, okay? So there's 68 mil wide, 300 long, and they're all 12 millimeters in thickness. And this person will need 7 pieces of 68 by 12 to get the width that is required. I'm sorry, that should be 300, but it's just cut out of the screen. Now going back to this drawing, this is just the base. So it's 300 long. It's 476 wide. Now I will need the exact same for my top because they're going to be equal. So what I do on the top, I need to do on the bottom. So I'll need to produce another exactly the same measurements for the top as well as this one, which is the base. So how do we go about and do that? It's a little bit easier than cutting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the base, and then cutting another 7 for the top. So I'm going to show you what we do to be efficient. To be efficient, what we do is we know the top is going to be 300 in length. We know the base is also going to be 300 in length. So what we do, instead of cutting separate 300 and 300 pieces, we cut one whole piece at 610. That's the 300 there and the 300 there, which is 600. And the extra 10 millimeters comes along because we're going to glue all these pieces, these 610 pieces, 610 mil pieces, all together. And once it's glued together, we're just going to cut down the middle and all our tops and all our top and our bottom are then already glued. So that's why we use the 610, 300 for the top, 300 for the base, and we're going to give ourselves a bit of cutting material. So the blade of the machine that's going to cut that is about 5 mil, but that gives us a little bit of play. So again, you can add 10 mil onto the 300 and the 300, which makes 610. And this is what it should look like. You may not be able to see that, but that's 300 mil there, 300 mil there, plus the 10 mil. I've glued it there, 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 and there. So when I take it out of the clamp, I just put this and cut a line straight through there on the table saw. So I can cut that, and I have the top and I have the base already done. And to help with you working out your type of material you're going to get, we order in the following lengths, or the following dimensions of ply. There's 42 by 12, and you cut that as your required lengths, because we get them in 4 meter lengths. There's 42 by 19 thick. There's 68 wide by 12 mil, 68 by 19 mil thick, 90 mil wide, 12 mil thick, 90 mil wide, 19 mil thick, 120 mil wide, 12 mil thick, and 120 mil wide by 19 mil thick. I hope that has helped to explain how you organise your cutting list. I will now go and show you how you present that on your document. Okay, so going back to our cutting length again, this was the base. It was 300, 68 mil wide, 12 mil thick, 300 mil long. So this is what it looks like on your cutting list. You're going to write down pine. What piece is it? The top. The width, 68. 12 mil thick, and there's going to be 7 pieces at 300 mil. So your total length will be 2100. Again, the base is exactly the same as the top. Same material, 7 pieces at 300, and again it's 2100. Now you do not have to worry about these sections here. Do not worry about that. Just complete this list, thank you. You will also have to then obviously put in your sides. So I'd imagine that would also be pine, and from your client's request, you will have whatever length and height that they are. Okay, any questions? Please see your teacher.